Hello everyone, and welcome back to Network 27. I'm Alderman Burnett, Alderman of the 27th Ward. Like to thank everyone for supporting us with this show. Also, I hope that everyone had a good time at the Stay in School picnic a couple of months ago. Today we have a great show. As you all know, last week we visited the Treehouse organization, or last month I should say, the Treehouse organization, and we saw a lot of cats. Well, we're kind of in that same feel. We're here at the animal control, right? And we're going to see a lot of animals, not just cats, dogs, and maybe possibly some other animals that may be here. A lot of folks have their own opinion or own impression or own suspicion of what they think goes on at animal control. And we're here to let you know really what's going on so that you don't have to guess. So today we have the director, who's a new director for animal control. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Thank you, Alderman Burnett. My name is Susan Russell.
Okay.
It's great to be on your show. Thank you.
Susan, how long have you been here, Susan?
I have been here now for 4.5 months.
Okay, so she's brand new. So Susan, why don't you tell the audience about Susan? Why did you get picked to come and take over this great organization?
Well, I hope it's my experience. I hope it's my mission. I hope it's my background. I was a litigator prior to this, so I have a bit of experience in the law. I was a marketing communications professional prior to that, and been an animal lover all of my life and a volunteer at this organization for many years as well. So I think a combination of all of those.
So are you from
traits.
Chicago?
Originally, no, but I have been here 17 years, so I feel like I am from Chicago now.
Mm-hmm. So you've been volunteering with a lot of organizations.
I have.
Related to animals.
I have volunteered for, well, Chicago Animal Care and Control for about 8 years prior to taking this position, and I volunteered with Safe Humane Chicago, Famous Fido. I have volunteered with Red Door Animal Shelter, quite a few of them actually, and well, Little Brothers Friends of the Elderly. That's not really an animal organization, but
sometimes they can be animals.
Oh,
right?
my goodness.
Don't get any of those singers mad at you, man. But okay, well that's good. So so in your 4 months of being here, so what have you taken control over? What do we have here at Animal Control?
Well, we have a pretty large organization actually when it comes to animals. We have roughly 400 odd in the building right now. Mm-hmm. About 210.
400 what?
Animals.
400 animals?
Yeah, that's correct. We have about 210 dogs.
Okay.
And about 190 plus cats.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have a fairly large organization. I'll take you back there a little later and show you the kennels with the dogs and of course the kennels with the cats. Mm-hmm. So give you a little bit of background on the organization. For example, last year in 2015 we took in 17,500 animals. That's a lot of animals. They were primarily cats and dogs, but they were also animals like snakes and raccoons and other wildlife. We have had burn animals. We have had a lot of different types of animals come through the doors because we are an open admission shelter. And by that I mean that we take in everything. We do not close our doors to anything, and that could be animals in any state of health. We take in the injured. We take in animals that are confiscated for abuse or neglect. We take in dangerous dogs, those animals that are deemed dangerous under Municipal Code 7-12-020. We take in reptiles that are found in garbage cans. Believe it or not, there's been pythons. There's been a whole bunch of things found in garbage cans in Chicago. Since I've been here, I've even seen an alligator. He was a small one, but he was no less an alligator for that. And so we have a lot of different kinds of animals coming through the door in all states of health and all states of behavior.
Fantastic. So tell me, so to deal with all of these animals, how many people do you employ here?
Roughly a little over 60 employees are in the building. And those are very different employees. So we have a control component, we have a sheltering component. So our animal control officers are those who are out in the field. You've probably seen the trucks in your neighborhood.
Right.
They go throughout Chicago and they help pick up stray animals, animals that have bitten people, wildlife, etc. And then we have employees who clean the kennels, our animal care attendants. Those who help people at the front desk, when you came in today, you saw a lot of people being helped at the front desk. Those are animal care clerks. And then we have, of course, the administrative and our dispatch clerks and the inspectors. So we have a whole panoply of employees here.
You also have doctors?
Oh, goodness, I forgot. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, we do. We have veterinarians and vet assistants and vet techs.
Okay. And so what do the vets do? They just evaluate the animals when they come in, or?
Well, that's an important part of their role, but they also assist. Some animals are coming in here, Alderman Burnett, after they've been hit by cars or after they've been badly abused. They come in all states of health. So, of course, our vets may have to do some kind of traumatic treatment for a traumatic injury, treatment for illness. They do treat animals that get ill here or who have come in ill. They perform a lot of tasks.
So they save the animals' lives, huh? Help to
Yes,
save
they
that?
are. They do that, as do our vet assistants. I've seen some pretty heroic work around here.
Fantastic.
Because sometimes the animals come in very badly.
So do the vets also neuter the animals and spay them?
Absolutely.
So neutering is for
Neutering's
boy
for the
dog
males, you got it, and spaying's for the females.
Spaying, okay.
But we spay neuter those animals that are city property. So all animals that are adopted from Chicago Animal Care and Control are spay neutered. And that's, I'd love to talk up our fee, because I think it's a pretty good one. If people are looking for a wonderful pet, for $65 you can get a wonderful dog or cat, and that includes your microchip, your rabies vaccination, your spay or neuter, depending of course on the sex of the animal. So it's a wonderful, wonderful deal.
So I just took my dog to the vet. Got him his shots. He was already spaded and neutered. He was itching, so I got him some itching meds. I walked out of there spending about $300.
It can be pricey. It can be
Right,
pricey.
I mean, I got him all of his, normal rabies shots, what you call it, Balatonal, or I forget what you call it, but the normal shots that they have to get.
Right, they're
and then we also got him the heartworms,
sure.
right?
Well, sure, the preventive, right?
So you do all of those things and still charge $65?
Right, we don't give a heartworm preventative here, but we do the, as you've said, the rabies and the regular shots, the parvovirus shot and all of that.
Parvovirus, right.
And but the microchip as well, which can be expensive at some vets, but we certainly recommend that all animals have them.
So people will walk out of here for $65 with an animal that several hundreds of dollars have been invested in already.
Probably, yes.
That's great. So do the city pay for all of this, or do you have other arms where you try to make things happen here?
Well, we do a lot of partnering. Our goal, of course, is to increase live outcomes. That's what we want to do, and if we partner with more organizations, we have the ability to do more of it. We've been very successful with live outcomes for cats. Thus far this year, we're at a 90% live save rate. Now, when I talk about live save rates, that's either the cat was adopted, it was transferred to a rescue organization, or it was returned to the owner. So that's a very impressive rate. Our dogs are at roughly 70%. We wish to improve that. How do we actually get animals out? To achieve that goal is by partnering, as I mentioned, and we do have roughly over 190 what we call homeward bound approved rescues. And these rescues are wonderful because they come in and they go shopping throughout the facility. They look for animals that would be, they feel they could find a home for, and then they pull them into their organization and they vet them, and then they get them out through those channels. So that's one of our key strategies for helping to increase live outcomes. We also have strategies that are for what we call before the door, so to help manage intake. Intake, it's very important to keep your intake at a number that allows you to provide a proper, what we call capacity of care. We have so many people, of course, in the facility, so many employees, so we want to ensure that every animal is taken care of in a way that is proper for that animal. So what we do is we partner with organizations like the Chicagoland Rescue Intervention and Support Program, and that's a coalition of rescues, if you would. And on Sundays, they kind of park themselves out there in front of Chicago Animal Care and Control. And when people are coming in to surrender their pets, they talk to them, and they say, "Why are you surrendering your pet?" And sometimes it's because they can't afford the vet care.
Why on Sundays?
Well, because that's when they can do it for now. We hope to see it expanded in the future.
So people can surrender their pets on Sunday? Or?
Well, people can surrender their pets anytime.
Okay.
We are an open admission shelter, so if indeed they have to surrender their pet, this is the facility where they can. But what these people are doing in the CRISP organization is they're talking to people coming in, and they ask, well, why are you surrendering your pet? If it's a medical issue, the coalition attempts to find vet care and pay for it for those people so they can keep their pet. And they've had success in helping people keep their pets because of that strategy. But also what they do is they evaluate the animal coming in. And if indeed they can place it through one of their rescues, then the animal will be placed through one of the rescues and not necessarily have to come in the door. And that's a wonderful thing, because then the animal has a good chance of getting another home, which is what we always want to see.
And then it's good to get the history too.
Absolutely, but that's one of our strategies for what we call the before the door strategy. So that's helping us manage intake by helping those animals get a second chance before they even enter the facility, which is great. But we also partner with Safe Humane Chicago. You've heard me talk about that organization, and that is important for our in-shelter strategies, because we have a lot of dogs here, and what they do is they focus on the dogs at the shelter, and they do enrichment activities, which is very, very important. A shelter is an incredibly stressful place for any animal. And when they come in, it is scary. There are a whole bunch of smells that they just don't know what to do with. And so it's really important when they're here, if we can, to try to allay that fear. And what Safe Humane does is they have a number of programs in the facility. One of them is Playgroups. Playgroups is a program where the dogs go out together, those that are compatible and enjoy each other's company. It's more like a dog-on-dog socialization. And that is incredibly important for even helping the dogs get a home or to get them out to rescue. Because when you can tell a rescue, hey, this dog's gone out and played cards and had a great time with 5 other dogs, it's a much easier sell.
Right.
So that program has been invaluable, and Safe Humane has provided very heavily trained volunteers to perform that function here for those dogs that can go into group. But what else they are doing, because there's many dogs that cannot leave their kennels, okay, whether they have behavioral issues that would make them a danger to the public, whatever it is, or a health issue where they just simply can't leave their kennels. What Safe Humane is doing as well is going to the kennels and doing in-kennel enrichment. So they get their little bag of hot dogs and they go in and they do click for quiet, and that helps mentally stimulate the dog. The dog has some company and some human time, human dog time, and it works wonders. Sometimes you can go into some of these pavilions and it'll be quiet because the Safe Humane volunteers have been in there doing click for quiet, and the dogs know that that's what they should be doing if they want a treat. So it's invaluable programming. What they also do is they pair people and animals in the building for training. So one-on-one behavioral training. This is incredibly helpful as well for getting the dogs a second chance or to attract a rescue to them. They have worked with with detainees who come in and clean in the mornings. We partner with the Cook County Sheriff's Office. So we usually have about 16 detainees doing the dog kennels. Cleaning the dog kennels and feeding the animals. It's a marvelous partnership, and so some of the detainees
it's probably make them feel good to do it too.
Well, it's if you love animals, this is a good place to help, right? It's a good place to put your efforts. And these detainees are wonderful. They do a good job, and some of them have decided to go into Safe Humane's reentry program, and that is usually 6 or 7 of them will choose on their break, when they're taking a break from cleaning, to help train the dogs. So it's a wonderful partnership. I mean, everyone deserves a second chance. That's how we look at things. And of course, these dogs deserve a second chance, and these detainees are helping them get that second chance by giving them some training. Safe Humane also partners with veterans, and they have the Valor program, Veterans Advancing Lives of Rescues. And that's where some veterans come, and they again partner up with our shelter dogs. And with Safe Humane assistance and guidance, they learn training techniques for the dogs, and they help those dogs become better dogs. So it's, Safe Humane's motto is, creating safer, more humane communities by inspiring positive relationships between people and animals. It's really about the human-animal bond. So they really help the animals when they are in shelter. So through all of these partnerships, that is how we are saving more lives and creating more live outcomes. And that's one of our key goals looking forward, is to see how we can do more of it, because that's our goal.
That's great. So tell me this, so you was talking about several groups volunteering with you. How many people just come up and want to be volunteers, and how do folks volunteer here?
That's a great
Because I
question.
know we were just in the back with a young lady, and
Uh-huh.
she was volunteering with the cats.
Yep.
Tell us about that program.
I would love to. We have our own volunteers on site, so Chicago Animal Care and Control volunteers. We have Safe Humane volunteers, which is a program I just spoke about. But the Chicago Animal Care and Control volunteers must go through training process and a general orientation. So if anyone is interested in volunteering, please come on down at 10:30 to the city shelter, where people will fill out forms. Where it is a city organization, they do have to be fingerprinted. So we provide that form where you can go downtown and get fingerprinted. Once people are fingerprinted, they can then choose the area where they wish to volunteer. So if they wish to be volunteering in the cat room, as you saw Sue doing, it's just a roughly 1-day orientation to learn how to show the cats, help the cats, do what, socialize the cats if that can possibly be done. And then there's, of course, the dog program. So we always need dog walkers, dog handlers. We need people to show the dogs and cats to the public. So that is the dogs are far more training. And as you could see when you walked into we have a lot of high energy dogs, beautiful muscular physiques, great smiles, blocky heads. They all want to get out. They have high energy. You need to be trained to deal.
Blocky heads.
Beautiful blocky heads, I said. But you need to be trained well to get the dogs out of the kennel, ensure that people are handling them safely, and of course that they are, doing it properly and the dogs aren't getting away and doing something they shouldn't be doing. So it's a longer process, but we do training for that as well. So the very first step is that general orientation. After people are fingerprinted and approved, then they can choose the area where they wish to volunteer.
So they have to be fingerprinted and approved to volunteer?
Correct.
Why do they have to be fingerprinted?
I guess the city does a background check and they require that.
Okay. Okay. So, but at the same time, you let the county guys come in.
Well, they're with the Cook County Sheriff's Office,
Sheriff.
so they are supervised, of course, by the officers,
Okay.
and they do a good job. It's a good partnership.
Fantastic. So I know some of the state institutions teach guys how to teach women. In the state institutions teach women how to train dogs.
Uh-huh.
They have a training program going on down at the state institutions. And some of those women end up coming home and opening up doggy daycares
Sure,
and
sure.
things like that.
Valuable skills.
Yes. So you have a non-for-profit arm.
There is an organization called Friends of Chicago Animal Care and Control, and they are invaluable for providing resources that are not necessarily within the city budget. And I'll give you a few great examples. We have an industrial washer and dryer in unloading because of their donation. And because we have an industrial washer and dryer, we are able to provide blankets for all of the dogs and many of the cats. That's a lot of laundry, so without it, we couldn't do it. They have been invaluable for providing us with things like leashes. We will be getting an x-ray machine, things that we simply could not afford otherwise, and we are very, very grateful for what they do for us.
That's great. So do you all ever have fundraisers?
They do. Big night is coming up in October for Friends of Chicago Animal Care and Control. The city itself, of course, does not, but that
The
arm certainly does.
non-for-profit arm?
Correct. So that'll be coming up, and that's an amazing event where a whole bunch of chefs get together, and you can eat and eat and eat and eat after you pay for your ticket price. There's lots of wonderful items for the silent auction and lots of very creative drinks like martinis and Cosmo Poodletons. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a great night at the Cultural Center.
Good deal.
Beautiful venue.
So if people wanted to volunteer and or donate, what do they do?
Well, they can don't if we always accept donations in kind. So, for example, if people want to give us blankets or biscuits or laundry detergent or any of those things that are on our wish list, we do have a wish list on our website. They can simply bring them to the city shelter, or you can order them on Amazon, and then they just come here, which is marvelous.
So what's your website?
It's a bit long, but if you Google Chicago Animal Care and Control, it will immediately come up.
And then if they wanted to donate, who do they donate to?
They
I
can
mean,
bring it-
financially. Let's say financially.
Well, financially, we don't do cash donations directly to the shelter, but if they wish to, any
To
of
the
the
non-for-profit.
not-for-profit, exactly.
So what is the non-for-profit called?
Friends of Chicago Animal Care and Control.
Okay, and is that located here or it has
That's-
another address?
That's another address. It's not really an address. It's more of it's an organization that doesn't have a brick and mortar building, so it's not
So
like a
would that-
shelter.
Would their information be on your website also?
Yeah, and it's on that would be www.fcacc.org.
Great,
Yeah.
great, fantastic. So everyone assume that there's just dogs and cats here. Can you tell us what other type of animals you get in here?
Oh, sure. We get lots of animals. It's amazing what you can find in some trash cans in Chicago. Things like ball pythons, alligators. We have had peafowl. We've had different farm animals in here. Lots of chickens, rabbits, guinea pigs, rats. Not the Norwegian rat we tend to see in our alleyway, but those cute little pet rats.
The white ones, yeah.
The little black, white. Yep, we got lots of rats here, but they're pets. We've had wildlife.
Wow.
And we partner again. It's all about partnering to get them out. With regard to the snakes and the lizards and the reptiles, we partner with the Herpetological Society, and they come down and they take them away and get them homes. We don't adopt out snakes here, but you can certainly, if you like a nice snake, go to the Herpetological Society. Flint Creek Wildlife is our partner for wildlife rehab. So, for example, little baby squirrels that need to be rehabbed, they'll be picked up by Flint Creek or any other type of wildlife, and they'll take them out to their sanctuary and rehab them. Again, it's all about partnering.
So what about skunks?
Well, skunks, when they come in, we do not rehab the skunks. Fortunately, they are euthanized. We don't replace the skunks, and same with raccoons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So, you know, one of the things about raccoons, I know you all used to, if people had a raccoon in the area, you would bring out cages. Do you still do that?
Not, it's not our, that would not be a priority call. Mostly if the raccoon is in the home. If it is in the home, that is more of a priority. We do not have enough people to go around trapping all of the raccoons that we get calls for. So pretty much when we answer those calls, it's because the wildlife has entered the home or is within the home area.
That's great. So, so the volunteers can come down here. So most of your animals that you take in, where do you get the animals from?
Well, they come from a number of sources, and I'm glad you asked that question because sometimes I don't think people realize how many different sources there are. We get stray animals that are brought in by the public. We have owner-surrendered animals, those obviously that are brought in by their owners. We get animals that are confiscated for abuse or neglect. Those are animals that sometimes become part of the court case dog program. We have animals that are deemed dangerous under the law, and they come in here, whether it's for a rabies observation, they've bitten someone or another animal, and they come in here for that purpose. Animals come because they've been injured, and we're picking them up. The animal control officers are picking them up off the streets, or they were picked up by our animal control officers on the streets as stray dogs, sometimes stray cats. So they come in from a number of sources, and they come in every day.
So what's the majority of your sources?
Owner-surrendered pets and stray animals.
So a lot of pets are being surrendered because owners either don't want them anymore or can't have them anymore.
That is correct, Alderman Burnett. And I think just to elaborate on that, because a lot of people cannot keep their pets. There's a reason maybe they've been evicted. Maybe they are living out of their car in this 90-degree heat. Or maybe they just don't want them anymore. There are many reasons why people give up their pets. What we look at is not necessarily that. We look at how do we try to find that animal second chance if at all possible. So we try to reserve judgment, of course.
So saying that means that a lot of your animals have been domesticated already.
Oh, well, indeed. I mean, if most of the animals that are coming here that are surrendered, they are cats and dogs. So they are, they are fully, domesticated, yes, and some of them are trained, some of them are not. They come in all states of behavior.
So there used to be a myth that if a pit bull came in here, or a so-called pit bull, you all would put them down.
Wow, that's a terrible myth.
Yeah.
But they say a myth can be a persistent lie or a persistent truth.
That's right.
But
That was the myth that you would put them down right away.
No. Well, sir, it may have been, I don't know what happened a long time ago. I mean, but I can tell you right now, animals that come in the door, whether they are a breed or whether they are a mutt, I mean, we assess the animal as individuals. So we do not judge a book by its cover. If a dog has...
So that's not true.
That is not true.
Let me
clear, that is not true.
Okay, well that's good, because I would imagine that folks who may want to get rid of their dog, if they thought that their dog was going to be, put down, that they probably wouldn't bring them here.
Well, the thing is...
Even though they can't keep them, right?
Well,
so they may let them be free or whatever and take their chances.
Well, we always hope people wouldn't just let their dog out the door or cat out the door and abandon it, because that's always dangerous, and that is taking a great chance. We cannot guarantee that an animal will not be euthanized, because it could be that the animal is too old, it's too sick, it's too dangerous. It could be a number of factors that might not make an animal available for rescue or adoption. So we never guarantee, and we fully disclose that on the forms that they sign, and we tell them that. So I mean, people who do relinquish their pets, they are told about what could happen. And I mean, for some people, I mean, they are willing to take that chance. Like I said, for cats, we have a pretty good live outcome rate. Dogs, it's a little bit trickier. And maybe we can talk a little bit about that, because that's a challenge that we wish to try to overcome, you know, in the future with regard to the dogs. And one of the key challenges, of course, is that we have a lot of animals that unfortunately have the let's say a bias against them, because they have morphological features like a muscular body or a great smile and the blocky head we've spoken about. But really,
are you talking about
they're
me?
just
I'm just kidding.
But they have those features, and unfortunately they are judged on their appearance, and they're judged by landlords, sometimes insurers, and it makes it very difficult sometimes to move these animals. And if they were just judged on their personality, and whether their personality resonated with the individuals who are looking at them instead of anything else, I think we'd get a lot more animals out. We'd like all animals be treated as individuals. It is our belief that, you know, breed does not equal behavior, even if you can assume that we know what the breed is. For the most part, what we have are mixed breed animals, and you cannot equate any mixed breed animal with a particular behavior or any morphological characteristic with a particular behavior. It's inaccurate, it's unscientific. And we just really hope the public will treat all of these animals as individuals.
So we walked around and we looked at some of the animals. A lot of the dogs, I would first off think that they were pit bulls, right?
Wow.
And you showed me this, you have this picture that says pick the pit bull out.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And you look on there and all of these dogs look like what you would think to be a pit bull. But you actually look up under them, and they're actually mixed with all other types of dogs.
Right. There were only three
There were only
animals
three
that
out
actually had
of about
American
20
Pit Bull Terrier in
That's
them.
right.
That's right.
Out of about 20 dogs.
Right.
But they all look very similar.
That's right. And they would all be called a pit bull.
They
and
would all be
unfortunately,
called a pit bull.
yeah.
So thank God that you all don't just put them down because you assume that they a certain breed, because all those dogs would be gone, right?
Well, we would never put a dog down just because if it could be identified as a particular breed, that would never be a basis for euthanasia because it's a particular breed. Never. The dog could come in any particular breed if it's a vicious dog, and we cannot get rescue, and we would not find rescue necessarily for any dog that's a danger to the public. The dog would be euthanized. It wouldn't matter what breed it is. So again, we're not going to be euthanizing any dog based on a breed or perceived breed. We like I said, every dog is judged individually, and if indeed it's a good candidate for the adoption floor or for rescue, it's going up for adoption or rescue.
So I was even at the treehouse, and from what I understand, they rescue some of your animals too.
Absolutely, they are a Homeward Bound approved partner.
That's great. So you deal with all these other shelters and organizations that rescue animals, for which what they do is they help these animals to find a home.
That's right.
Right? And they come and they get them from here. So you all have a great partnership.
Yes.
So you either get, so most of the time when people want to give up their animals, I know of two places people first think of, and one is here, and the other one is the Anti-Cruelty Society.
Okay.
Anti-Cruelty Society. I think a lot of folks think that the Anti-Cruelty Society is a part of the city, you know, because they're so, it has always been known. Matter of fact, when I was a kid, people used to say, oh, I'm going to go to the Anti-Cruelty Society and give me a dog, right?
It's an old organization.
It's an old organization that's been around for a long time. But they're not actually part of the city. They're another adoption agency or another rescue agency that actually take animals in. And sometimes they get animals from you also?
Not often, but they might. They do take in some strays, but they are another shelter in the city. They are another adoption. They are another adoption.
But they don't
shelter
take in every animal.
No.
So you all you don't discriminate, you take in every animal.
Well, we are open admission, so everything can come through our door. We cannot close our doors. So irrespective of health condition, irrespective of behavioral condition, they will all come through our doors. And that is why, unfortunately, not all animals make it out of our doors, because sometimes they do come in states of health that would not enable them to live. I mean, some come in pretty bad shape and they are euthanized. Some come in with diseases like cats, for example. This time of year is a bad time for what's called panleukopenia. And when a cat has that, normally that cat will be euthanized. That'd be we would not want to risk the health of the other cats, so that cat would be euthanized. A puppy with parvovirus, if indeed a rescue was not immediately able to take that puppy or that dog would be euthanized. A dog that we would consider a public danger because it has aggressive tendencies, that dog would probably be euthanized. So there is euthanasia at a city shelter, and sometimes that is a difficult concept for people to deal with, and it's a very difficult concept anyway. Yes.
So what are your hours there?
Hours, well, we open the doors to an intake between 7 and then they close at 11, and from 11 to 7 there we have security at the front desk, but the shelter's closed.
Okay, so from 7 to 11 in the morning?
7 to 11 at night.
Or 7 to 11
Correct,
at night.
but we have adoption. Adoption hours for animals are between 12 and 7. The last application is received at 6 o'clock, but adoption's actually closed. So people can view the animals until 7, but they can only apply for a pet until 6 o'clock.
Fantastic. And so, so what's the procedure? So people can bring their dogs in if they want to surrender them between 7 and 11, or
Correct. Right. Currently, that is those. Well, yes. Yeah. We always encourage people, if they can at all do it, is try to rehome your pet. If you can find a good home for your pet, that is the best solution. Is to try to rehome your pet.
Great. So what else do you all have going on here in reference to the animals? I know I was looking at the volunteers back there. I think the young lady, I don't know if she worked for you or she was a volunteer.
She was a volunteer, yeah.
Okay, she was
a dog walking
She was
volunteer.
walking the dog, right?
Very important.
And so from what I understand, all of the animals get walked here?
No. I want to clarify that.
Okay.
The animals you saw Adoption Pavilion A, so many of those animals can get out and go for a walk. There are 5 other pavilions filled with dogs. We have a dangerous dog pavilion, so those dogs don't necessarily get out for exercise. Sometimes Safe Humane will go in and do in-kennel enrichment with some of those dogs. Some of them get out, but not all of them. Some of them are sick. Some of them are trying to get through whether it's some kind of canine infectious respiratory disease, whether it's canine influenza virus, whether it's kennel cough. So they are in shelter, and again, if their stimulation is going to be in kennel. We do run some sick dog play groups, but that is again done, only select dogs do that. So not every dog gets out because we simply don't have enough people. So you have them in
categories and you separate them.
Yeah.
So you won't have a dangerous dog with a non-dangerous dog.
Well, we wouldn't probably have dangerous dogs out with volunteers. Sometimes I might take some of those guys out. Some of them are not necessarily quote unquote dangerous, but they can be walked, but we don't let volunteers walk those dogs.
And then with the cats, your volunteers go in, and so they go in and they sit with them and they play with them and rub them and all those things. So is there considered to be a dangerous cat?
Well, of course, Michael.
Okay.
We have some feral cats. We try to reunite them with the colonies if indeed they're chipped. If they're part of a cat colony, a feral cat colony in the city, and they're being managed and they have a chip, we reunite them with their colony.
So they go back
through their rescue. They go back, yeah. And yes, some cats. It's sometimes not that they're dangerous. It's just they've been placed in an environment which has placed undue stress on them. This is perhaps the worst place a cat can be, in the sense that cats don't fare well in small kennels and when they're away from their own territory. So when you take a cat out of its home or out of its, and you put it in a kennel, which is what we have to do, that's a very unnatural environment for a cat. I'm not saying that a shelter is necessarily a natural environment for a dog, but sometimes dogs have a much easier time adjusting than cats. So sometimes a cat can act in a manner that is not the cat. It's just frightened and it's out of its element. And it's, potentially a little bit dangerous, but I wouldn't call it a dangerous cat.
So you don't. So you neuter and spay the cats. You don't declaw them, right?
Oh goodness, let's talk about that. That is
Okay.
that is a practice that we hope will be abolished everywhere. It is a very cruel practice to declaw a cat. Literally, you are taking off the first knuckle on a cat, and we do not recommend that at all. In fact, we hope people will stop doing that. If they are still doing it, it is a very cruel practice, and it can lead to health problems down the road for cats. You know, sometimes urinary incontinence. It could lead to a number of foot problems. We would never recommend declawing, and like I said, it's a practice that I just hope does not continue.
So you don't do that?
No, goodness,
And
no.
so you don't declaw cats, and you
No.
don't just put any dog down, right?
No, goodness no,
Okay.
goodness no.
Fantastic, fantastic. So what else do you all have going on here?
Well, let's see. What do we talked about the play groups. We talked about the court case dog program. I'd like to give you a little bit of history on that, actually, if you don't mind. Court case dog program was something that began in January of 2010, and that was a partnership between the City Shelter, Safe Humane Chicago, and Best Friends Animal Society. And it came about because it used to be that animals that came into the City Shelter, if they were part of a court case, i.e. they were confiscated for abuse or neglect or something, could have been dog fighting, could have been anything, then they would sit in the kennels, and sometimes for long periods of time without any love, affection, or any outside time or anything really, except the basics, the cleaning of the kennel and the food. After they had served their evidentiary role, for the most part, they were euthanized. And so that was unfair. They do the time but not the crime, and then pay the ultimate price, and that was unfair. And so this program was developed, and not all court case dogs make it into it, but what happens now is that Safe Humane is informed that a dog is here as part of a court case. They work to see if they can get the dog forfeited earlier, i.e. it becomes property of the city, and if they can do that, then they can start working with the animals. Sometimes they can get orders to exercise some of these animals that are here and are still property of their owners. They can get a court order to exercise those dogs. But those dogs that are forfeited and come into the program and are evaluated as safe to be in the program, they are taken out and worked with. They go into manners training. They have manners classes for these dogs. They have play groups for these dogs. This is I think a pretty progressive aspect of Chicago Animal Care and Control is all the programming that Safe Humane is doing with the dogs. Play groups is an amazing way to help dogs socialize with other dogs and in turn get them adopted much more quickly. So it's just an incredible program. But that court case dog program was a very innovative program, and it is unique to this city shelter, and we're pretty proud of it.
That's
It's pretty
great.
proud of it because over 800 animals have been saved because of that program since its inception. And what happens after the court case dogs leave here? They always leave through a rescue. So Safe Humane works with rescues to get them transferred out of here, and then the rescues adopt them out. So it's a pretty, like I said, it's unique to this shelter, and something we can brag about.
Great. So I also know that one of my colleagues just introduced something.
Alderman Lopez?
Lopez. So what was it that he just introduced in reference to dogs? I think it was something about not being able to put them down or something like that.
Are you referencing the no-kill resolution?
No kill resolution.
Okay.
Right. So how does that affect you all here?
Well, I'll tell you, I think the spirit of it is something that we embrace. We embrace increasing live outcomes. That's what we embrace, and that is our goal. And our continual improvement goal is, of course, to up those live outcome rates for the dogs and the cats. If we can get it above 90, we'll take it. So that's something that we have in our planning in any event. We want to increase live outcomes. We want to work with all the aldermen to help their constituents either keep their pets or get the services that they need, whether it's by informing their constituents that these services are available in their wards or where they can obtain important services to keep their pets. I think the spirit of it in the city is everyone working together to achieve that goal. And it's very important that everyone kind of think about how can we do better by the animals and the people who own them. Whether that is helping them find housing for them and their pets, and that's not always easy, especially with some of the breed discrimination that goes on. helping them find insurance. You know, these are all things that every ward can help their constituents do just by providing informational materials, and that would certainly help the city shelter by helping us manage intake. And if animals do come in, certainly if people have already vaccinated their pets, if they've microchipped and tagged their pets, then those animals will be returned to their owners, or if they come in here, they will not hopefully get sick. So there's so many things that everyone can do to help increase live outcomes from the city shelter. So I talked about the before the door strategies, what can pet owners do? And in shelter strategies, what can we do? And then beyond the door strategies, what can people do so that they can keep their pets, whether it's getting training for their animal, whatever the case is. So I think it's important that everyone work together.
So how does this no-kill ordinance affect what you all have to do with sick animals and dangerous animals?
Well, I want to clarify as well. It does not mean no euthanasia.
Okay.
No kill does not mean no euthanasia.
Okay.
No kill is an effort to get those animals that are adoptable or treatable, whether it's behaviorally or health-wise, a second chance.
Okay.
So that's a little bit different. Yeah.
So it's kind of like what you do anyway.
It's what we do.
Right.
What we're trying to do.
What you're trying to do
yeah.
with all of the other shelters and places that try to adopt animals.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's working toward that goal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are open admission, so that means we cannot control what comes in the door. So that is why there will be euthanasia if indeed there is an animal that is injured and suffering, or you know, irremediably behaviorally challenged, i.e. they are a danger to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So that those assessments must be done here.
Mm-hmm. So last week, if I'm not mistaken, I had a bike ride. But you also had a thing where you had the aldermen come out.
We did.
And tell us about that day.
I will. That was City Council Day. We had Alderman Sposato out here, Alderman Smith, Alderman Kappelman, and then we had representatives from Alderman Zaluski's office and Alderman Burnett's office. And we had representatives from Alderman Taliaferro's office. And we had a few more, and I'm blanking, but
That's
it'll come
okay.
back to me. It'll come back to me. But
This
it was a wonderful day.
This is not a test. So.
Oh, but I want to get an A.
Okay.
But we had them here to talk about what we do. I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what we do or how we do it, and I want to familiarize everyone with what we do. And I think a great way to do that is by talking to the aldermen and by providing them with the resources to provide to their constituents, so their constituents can learn about what we do as well and understand what services we provide. It was a wonderful day. We talked, we showed play groups. We had Safe Humane out doing play groups, so we went out in the yard and did that. Yeah, it was a very informative day. CRISP was at the front. They were doing one of their Saturdays. They are trying to do 2 Saturdays a month as well. CRISP is the Chicago Land Rescue Intervention Support Program.
Families
Talk to
when
people,
they bring their dogs in before they turn them in.
Right. It's wonderful. So they were out there, so the aldermen and the representatives had an opportunity to see that in action, which I thought was wonderful. They had an opportunity to see dogs and cats being relinquished here at the city shelter, and they had an opportunity to view the entire shelter, which I hope more people will come and do. You know, see what we do. Sometimes I think people think it's a scary place and a sad place, and granted, there is suffering. These are homeless animals, right? Homeless animals coming in or being abandoned or hurt. That's going to be hard for a lot of people to look at, but that's the value of the place as well, because that's, you know, trying to get them a second chance is, of course, a success story. So I want people to see the good and help us achieve more. You know, so it was a wonderful day. I was very excited to see them, you know, see the aldermen come down and check it out, and we hope to do more of them.
Great. So we're getting ready to, we're in October now. You should be coming up before us for your budget.
Yes, indeed.
I know you have 60 employees now. I know that we're tight on everyone as far as everyone has to tighten up because these are tight times. And I know that you all have had to tighten up in the past, probably before you came. Do you have to tighten up a lot this time? Are you going to, maybe you don't want to discuss it?
Well, you know,
or are you going to be the same?
Well, you know, it's hard to say, Alderman. It's hard to say. We'll see what happens. You know, we do need to fulfill all of our positions. We have not done that yet. You know, it's important that we
short people already.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct. And we are still looking for a full-time vet.
A full-time vet, because you have 2 full-times and 1 part-time.
A little bit less than part-time.
A little bit less than part-time.
So that's, you know, we are keeping our
So do you work
hope.
with any of the veterinarian schools?
Not right now, no.
Or like have interns from the schools to come
Not right
in?
now, not right now. But certainly, you know, it's always, there's always things to think about. But that's, we are not working with any right
So
now.
you know, everyone always get this impression. You know, when you look at television shows or movies, you see the folks running around with nets and catching animals.
Okay.
And, you know, that's not you guys?
Well, the thing is, it depends. I mean, we don't necessarily run around with nets, but I mean, every animal control officer has to gauge the situation. If indeed you have a fractious cat, sometimes a net is a good tool.
But you're not just running around looking for animals.
Oh, goodness no, goodness no.
Okay.
We have roughly 19 animal control officers, and on any given day you can have 3 to 4 per shift. There's usually 3 watches. There are 3 watches, pardon me, so you usually have 3 to 4 per shift. We don't have people just running
three
around.
watches, so they work 24 hours?
No, goodness no. 3 watches, so 7 to, I think it's 3 to 11, and then there's another shift, 12 to, I think it's 12 to 7. So you have 7 to 3, and then 12 to 7, and then I think it's 5 to 11. So you have some of them overlap, but pretty much we have to prioritize those calls. I mean, anything that is endangering public safety, that's going to be the first. That's going to be the first priority. Anything that is, you know, an injured animal, that's going to be a priority call. So we do have to prioritize those calls, and we do, you know, we do get a lot of calls.
Yeah, because you know, back in the day, people used to say, "Oh man, my dog is lost," and you're like, "Oh man, I hope animal control don't get him."
Oh,
right?
goodness. Okay,
you
well,
know, like
well,
you
I
walk
mean,
around looking for folks' dogs, right?
But you're making a point right now that I wish to talk about on your show, because I think it's one of the most important.
We have a few minutes.
Just very few minutes, and I want to talk about, and that is, how can people find their lost pets? What can they do to ensure their lost pets get back to them? And I want to talk about microchipping and tagging. So I'm sorry to commandeer the conversation, but I really want to talk about it, Alderman Burnett, because if more people did it.
What is tagging?
Tagging is when you get a little tag with your name and
okay.
phone number, and you put that on your pet. That is the quickest way to get an animal back to its owner. And if it came in here and we saw the tag and the number, we would call you. If it's microchipped, we will send you a letter and we will call you if indeed you've registered your microchip. And I cannot emphasize how important it is for Chicagoans to understand that if they tagged a microchip,
it just take a few minutes to
takes a few
microchip.
minutes, to very quick, and putting the tag on very quick.
It's like getting a shot.
It's like getting a shot, but it can save your animal's life. If someone finds your animal out on the street and you've got a tag on it, you'll get that animal back probably without having it to come into the shelter or anywhere else.
Right.
If you've lost your pet, it's
How much does that cost about?
What's that, to microchip?
Either one.
Well, we here we have low-cost vaccine and microchip clinics once a month.
Oh wow!
Which is so it would be $15 here at those clinics,
okay.
And I'll give you those resources as well to bring back and put on your website. And we have those once a month. Vets' offices will vary, but
it's cheaper with you probably, huh?
We're pretty cheap.
Okay.
We're pretty cheap, but I think it's important.
I shouldn't say cheap, but reasonable.
Well, it's inexpensive. I will say. Well, $15 could be
right?
inexpensive for
$15,
some.
That's right. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's a good deal.
But it's important to do it.
And that way, if your dog or cat get lost, you can get them back.
Well, people should not have the delusion of reprieve that indeed their pet won't get lost.
That's right.
Because they can. Cats can fall out windows.
A dog can chase something.
A dog can chase something. A dog can get off leash. It can happen to anyone.
That's
and what
right.
we want is when they come in through the door, they'll be leaving shortly thereafter because we found you. And a lot of people might pick up their pet and bring it somewhere else. If it has a microchip and a tag, it will get home.
Okay, well, fantastic. So again, we're going to have to sign off. I really appreciate you coming on to the show.
I can't thank you enough for having us.
Allow me to be here. I know there's a lot of B-roll, and I know the folks are seeing a lot of things that's going on here, and seeing all of those beautiful cats and beautiful dogs.
Yeah.
Matter
I
of
can't
fact,
convince you to take one,
well,
can I?
you know, it was about 10 of them that I wanted to take when I was
we'll go
in
back.
there,
We'll go back.
But, I had to worry about a fight at home. But I love dogs. And I like cats too. That's another fight at home. But anyway, So if folks want to come and adopt, they can come here.
Absolutely.
And what days?
Monday through Sunday, all week long,
And what's your
12 to
address?
7, 2741 Southwestern.
All right. If they want to adopt, if they need to relieve their animals, bring them somewhere. They can't keep them for whatever reason. They can come here
yeah.
to bring them. What days?
Well, that's every day as well, sir. Yep. And again, I
Every
emphasize
day.
if they can
And
find
then
a good
if
home,
folks
it's
want
always
to
good.
donate and or volunteer with your non-for-profit arm, what should they do?
Well, they can go to www.fcacc.org, or they can go to Chicago Animal Care and Control. Just Google that, and of course, all of our information for volunteering will come up on that site.
So, but they can, if they want to find out more information, they can go to your website.
That's right. That's right.
And what is that again?
Well, it's a long address, so I'll have to. If you Google
we'll
Chicago Animal Care and Control,
so
you'll
it's
get there right
it's
away.
It's probably under this anyway. We'll probably put it under.
We're going to put it under
we'll
there.
Put it under this conversation.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I want to thank you very
Thank
much
you,
for
sir.
coming.
It was great.
Thank you for your love for the animals. We really appreciate it. We also appreciate all the people who work here.
We sure do
Everyone
too.
that I've seen here working, it don't seem like they're working. They look like they love what they're doing.
Well, it's
It
a
seem
hard
like- it
job.
seem
It's
like
a
they're-
hard job,
It
let
seems
me
like
tell
they're
you.
at home with these animals, So I guess for animal lovers, this is the greatest job in the world.
Well, it's probably the hardest job
Probably
in
the
the world
hardest
for
job.
animal lovers. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to see some things that you may
You
not
see a
like.
lot of things that are hard to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Alderman
All right,
Burnett.
thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching Network 27. I'm Alderman Walter Burnett, and we're signing off. See you next month.